I've learned a lot of what not to do and what to do. Like I probably had to rein in my entrepreneurial spirit, sort of try and focus on one thing that's a money generating. The small little things that you let go and you don't charge and you don't do this for, they mean a lot more than,
Sticking up for what it is that you wanted to do, standing
Yeah.
your ground on that, and your father finding a newfound respect.
For me, that's like, what's the alternative? Like, you just wait, do nothing, go through your life. What's going to light you up? What's the worst that can happen? You can fail doing something you don't like. You might as well fail and do something you do like. And
Even just do what you love every day, and that alone is retirement in itself. That's what brings you joy, and overcoming challenges also brings a lot of joy. You learn a lot about yourself during that process. You get to learn how much more you have in the tank. What does success mean to you?
having a good impact on people around you, helping them be successful.
Welcome to the Successful Irishman podcast, where we know success isn't only about money and material riches, it's about personal freedom, owning your time and leaving your trauma, triggers and limiting beliefs behind. My name is Dara Byrne, life coach, trauma recovery specialist and entrepreneur. And on this podcast, we will be sitting down with guests to hear their incredible life stories and to challenge the societal idea of success. Mr. Ollie Gordan is joining us today, founder of Trade Connects, one of Australia's, Sydney's leading labour hire companies, recruitment agency. I don't know what you call it, but that's what I'm giving it. Ollie, I feel like I've chatted to you more in the last 2 weeks than I have in our whole time knowing each other.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you. Yeah, no, for sure. Just good catching up with you there in Bali. I'm just back actually today, so good to catch up. And we got to the Carbon Ray event and it was good.
Yeah, amazing. Did you just get back this morning? Is that just
Yeah.
straight? Fair play to you. What time did you land at?
Flew back this morning. I was in this morning at 7:30. I didn't work today. No, just took it easy. Having my two dogs, so spend a bit of time with them maybe.
A bit of quality time. I
Quality
get
time.
there myself at we must have the same flight. I get there on Thursday, same time,
Yeah.
7, half 7, whatever it ends up being. Ollie, how are you getting on anyways? How are you feeling today after your little trip and reset?
Feeling really good. Yeah, so feeling really, really good. I went yesterday and had intuitional healing massage there in Canggu, and it was at the Mercat sort of ceremony. So that was really good, like the water cleansing. Felt really good. 2 weeks there now, recharged. Been pushing hard at work for the last definitely for the last probably 4 or 5 months, really hard. So just looking forward to that reset.
Yeah, we will definitely come around to all of those things because spiritual healing and energy healing, I'm pretty sure with an Irish background, was not something that you used to do as a kid or even in
No.
your adult or your adolescence and early adult years. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I didn't do much of it, but I always sort of had a inkling there was like definitely something else out there that we weren't just thing, but I didn't really know, and that sort of just developed over the years, sort of knowing, getting more in tune with yourself and saying why is this thing happening, why are you feeling like this, why are you feeling like that. So just lucky enough that I ran into the right people on my way.
Yeah, that's epic. Well, brilliant. This is where we're at today, current moment. Life for you growing up, Ollie. Where did you grow up? What was life like?
Yeah, so I grew up in a little place in the west of Ireland called Easky, Ratley Easky. Grew up there, same as from home. My from a family of 6 children. Mum and dad. My mum is from Meath. My dad is from Sligo. He went up working in Dublin years ago, and he was up working when he was young. He left school and ended up becoming a mechanic and a fabricator. And he ended up going up to Dublin and a cement factory. And he was working, and he was at a dance one night, and he met this lovely woman, and he was always known for his charisma, but he ended up needing he was always cobbling with cars, and he'd Mercedes and selling them and doing them up, and he needed a car bought back to Sligo, and he was seeing my mother a few times, and he said, "Do you want to come to Sligo?" She thought it was going to be a romantic weekend, and he had the tour up, and he said he towed the car with no engine the whole way to Sligo. So I think that's how she landed. She landed down there, and she's down there the last 45 years rearing us. So
Oh, stop. Are you telling me your mother was tied up in the back of the Mercedes with no engine?
Yeah, it's sort of like with the Taliban. Like, I think she couldn't escape. She'd no license to get out of there, but she ended up having a few of us anyways and done an all right job trying to rearing us. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's incredible. What a story, man. I
Yeah.
love
So
it. The old Irish.
yeah, so that's where I grew. That's where I grew up, and same as regular childhood, bit of GA, Ireland, working with my working with my father. He just did frame business. He just did frame build business. He's a bit of a character, so we would have been all my older brothers would have been doing a lot more work than me. But since we were a young age, we'd be out painting steel or doing something, putting nuts and bolts together, and always doing something, even sweeping the floor. I'm like, what's the point of sweeping the floor? Should just fucking someone working behind you here. Like, there's no point. But he, yeah, we worked with him, and yeah, so it was good. It was good times. Sometimes not easy, but always good time. Yeah, I suppose one lesson I learned as a youngster is I seen a tractor coming down the road when I was young, and I was like, oh, there's a lovely trailer and tractor coming down the road. Like I was only maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, and a neighbor, we didn't realize there was a guy going to the bog. So we were all out playing football in the garden. Yeah, we go for a spin in the back of the tractor, the back of the trailer. So we end up going to the bog and we came back. When we went to the bog and then when we came back that evening, we were roasted fucking potatoes. We're like,
Tomatoes.
we were like, every time we seen a tractor and an empty trailer coming down the road, we're running for the hills. We weren't because that time, them times years ago, it was sort of like your kids were everyone else. Anyone could just grab your kids, fucking do work. Like, it didn't matter.
Down the country or up the country in your
Yeah.
case. Yeah, so you jumped on the back of that for a laugh and you end up going for a full day's work. Is that what happened?
Pulled it work. You won't catch me these days doing as much now, but
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So
yeah.
what you're saying, anyways, coming back to your father, he was a good man and he instilled a solid work ethic in you, the
Yeah.
family, from
Well, he
such a
did.
young age. Is that right?
Yeah, he did. Like we would have always not. He would have taught us. Like, I don't know. You hear it. I think you can't say it now these days. Oh, you have to hold yourself a certain way. You have to like lift your feet when you walk, and this sort of stuff he used to say to us, like which is pretty normal for an Irish father, I think, to be at. Like, he would say that stuff and like make sure that you're dressed well when you go out and all that. But one thing my father, I suppose he had was he'd a real entrepreneurial spirit. That would have been what he was just a real charismatic guy, and he could sort of get stuff done.
Uh-huh.
He'd real magic in him, and he always showed us the power of like just being a good, like he'd always do something that was a bit bigger than someone else. Like, if someone else was given something small like a pound to a kid, he'd give a £20 note, where £20 that time would have been fucking week shopping, and
Yeah.
he just showed us that sort of stuff, and he wasn't doing it out of any place other than trying to be good. Like, it wasn't like so that was some of the stuff he would have shown us, and then just the entrepreneurial spirit of seeing a different way of looking at things and a different way of doing things, and that you didn't have to always just work 9 to 5 and just go to the job and come home and eat your dinner and do it again. Like, he would I suppose look at different ways, buying something, doing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we always had a great childhood, but we just didn't know what was coming next. I remember one time we came home and dad had been at a job, and like mum would have preferred he came home with the money for the job, but he came home with a fucking trailer full of half different motorbikes and different things, and so we thought it was great. Spent the next fucking 4 weeks on bicycles and all this, like scrapyard, cutting them up and making them into a trike, but making it he doing it with us, like showing us how to do it, making it.
Yeah, yeah, epic.
So it was good. It was good. Do you know what? It was better than actually someone buying you like a €10,000 trike or something when you were a kid. It was just you just sort of knew what
Yeah,
the quality
yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. So what I'm sort of hearing is there's a lot of adventure in it. So
Yeah,
even though he didn't come home with the money, but he left long lasting legacy and dreams for you and your brothers and
yeah.
sisters.
They often came home with a cop car as well, but just for the
What did
run.
he rob it or did they stick him in
Oh,
the
he
back
robbed
and
it.
they
I
robbed
know.
him?
No, not like that. No, there'd be always a bit of something going on around the house with the trouble, but we always knew. Yeah, it was joking. It was good and bad. It was all good.
It was good and bad. It's all good now. It's all funny stories. Put it down to experience.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, I was picking up on that entrepreneurial stuff because you did say he was a mechanic, and then all of a sudden you were working on steel and painting steel and all of that. So
Yeah.
just quickly, what other type of jobs or
Oh,
entrepreneurial stuff did he tip away at?
look, I've learned a lot from him because I've learned a lot of what not to do and what to do. Like I probably had to rein in my like entrepreneurial spirit to just sort of try and focus on one thing that's a money generating thing. Because like dad was way ahead of his time. Like in our house, like he built when he was young, he built a tractor that was board Namona in Ireland. They ended up like buying it off him. It was like he had a gearbox in it, had a truck gearbox in it, slowed it right down, had tracks on it for going across the bog. So that was one thing he made. Then he used to do the steel frame buildings. People used to come from all around for him to modify and make some stuff. But back in must have been 20. He set my eldest brother up in a sign making business. So this was we had a computer in our house, and if you can imagine, Sligo town was 45 minutes one way and Ballina and Mayo was 25 minutes the other way. And I would safely say back then there would not have been a computer between them two towns. And
Uh-huh.
Dad went away and he spent 5,000 punts on a computer, got something like that, something crazy. And he had a computer.
Uh-huh.
He set my brother up in a sign business. And there's actually a funny story where he set him up in a sign business. And my brother was doing the junior cert, and there was a local pub. And your man he was a quarry guy, and he said he got the sign that says "Welcome to the pub" and "Goodbye" from the pub either side of it. And Dad went up to, he said, "Will you pay him? He wants to buy some school. He wants to buy some books for school." And your man said, "Should I throw a load of gravel around the house, or I'll do something? I won't like. I'll give you concrete. I'll give you bricks, whatever you want." So my father arrived into the pub. He was a great man for being generous around the pub as well. And he arrived into the pub and he said, "Can I get Mary and John a pint? Can I get Jimmy a pint?" And geez, your man was delighted. He was great. Jesus, Gordon is in. He's spending again. And said, your man said, "That'll be 70 pound or whatever." And Dad took out a fistful of gravel. He said, "Take it out of that."
Yes, I love it.
It was always up for a bit of a laugh, a bit of humor, even though look, there would have been no issue. There was always a twist and a turn in with them older school boys. They knew it was just a
Yeah, yeah. How did the barman take it, or the pub
oh
owner?
look it's he's the same guy after my father passed away that did drop down loads of gravel and never sent a bill. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
that's just the way them old school guys worked. It was, and that's what I've learned is like the small little things that you let go and you don't charge and you don't do this for, they mean a lot more than, running like,
the financial. Yeah, I hear
yeah,
you. I hear you.
I've
Yeah,
seen throughout the years. But that long story short, Dad, he had where he was putting mirrors. Could do sandblasting mirrors. You're talking 30 years ago, like sandblasting mirrors with people, like you say, he'd find someone. I could walk into a local house in my area and there'd be some sort of thing my dad had gifted someone. It would have been a picture and he would have put their family crests on it. Like, and it's mad, everyone can do them now, but like 25, 30 years ago, there was no one able to do that sort of stuff. Like putting a foot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember him sending me into the art teacher with some expanding foam one time. And he goes, "See, tell your ask your," and I was like, "Fucking hell, this looks like a duck or something." And he sent me into the art teacher. It was only like 7 or 8 in the local community center. She thought it was the most amazing thing ever. Like, but it was just three blobs of expanding foam, and he carved it up a bit. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah. Fair play to them. So look, coming back to yourself and your story,
yeah.
there's some funny ones in there. What impact did that have on you? Like, what was life like then, going into your adolescence?
Well, yeah. Look, I was going into my adolescence. I didn't really want to work for my dad.
Hmm.
I took a bit of a stand against him, which it didn't really go down too well, to be honest. I wanted to become a mechanic. I had a real fascination about what it was like under a car, under the hood of a car, like, and so it was a local mechanic, and I thought that Dad had worked with him when he was 15. There's a local mechanic down a old country lane, and like you wouldn't even believe it's true now, like, but they lived down there since they're 15, three brothers, and I used to go over and back, and all I wanted to do was look at cars. But Dad didn't take that too well, and caused a bit of war. But I ended up standing up to him, really standing up to him and said, "I don't care, like I'm fucking going." And I leave the I leave the rest of the story to the imagination. We didn't have a civil conversation, I'll put it that way. Maybe that's
What are
some of
we?
the
What are we talking? A few slaps, or did he
oh
kick you
look
out
at
the
it.
gaff, or what happened?
Then
All stories are
I
welcome here, boy.
yeah. Oh, what was it? We were in the workshop and all the men were there, and I said, "I'm not going working with you. I'm going over working with Teddy Murray." And he goes, "Oh, that's grand. No worries, no worries." He sent all the men off. he sent all the men off up the road to go, and he came into the house and looking for weird mum to get me up and go. And I said, I'm not going, and fucking pinned up against the wall. He said, you're fucking come and work with me. And I said, I'm not. And the mum pulling him off. And I said, I cycle up the road. And like God, at this time he would have been quite angry, at the end of it. He would fucking try to run me down with a van, and I was like, fucking hell, like, how am I gonna go home here this evening? It's this cunt. But at the end of it all, he had great respect then for me because I did stand up to him for stuff
Uh-huh.
it was something that I suppose it was sort of stuck with me. Like, and you resonate with this. What was the payoff? Like, do something and I couldn't do what I really wanted to do. I really wanted to become a mechanic at that time. I was really interested in, and I really wanted to, like, when you work for your dad or something, you don't really get paid. And I was getting paid £15 a day when I went to this mechanic. And I still remember that when I went over these old school guys, my first week's wages, I bought a Honda 50. It was £100, and I'd £90. I used to get £90 for the week work, and one of the guys brought me to get it, and we ran out of, he'd an old school Pat the postman van, a Renault 5, them old Renault jokes, and we ran out of petrol on the way on the way back with the yoke in the back of the trailer. It was just great times, and they paid for
Just
it. Showed me too, the mechanic's brother, who was a farmer, he brought me to get it, and it was £100, and he paid for it, and he got me wages, and I got £100 to get it. They were just a good nature, but I thought I was getting
yeah.
£100 a week then. But sure, next week I got the £80, but they just give me an advance on my wages. It was good
Good
time.
old country stories, yeah, good times.
Yeah,
And look, I just want to come back to something that you mentioned there
yeah,
in
man.
terms of sticking up for what it is that you wanted to do, standing
Yeah,
your ground on that, and your father finding a newfound respect for
yeah,
yourself and your drive to do what it is that you wanted to do. And I also want to highlight the other side of that coin. What a lot of people don't realize is a lot of us in society get shepherded into these jobs based on our fathers or mother's belief system, or even the uncles. This is the
yeah,
family business. You have to do this. But what happens is a lot of people lose touch with themselves because they're doing something that they hate or they don't love. And by the time they get to an age where they decide that they might want to do something else, it becomes this is all I know. If I don't do that, then what else can I do? I can't start again. I need the money to pay the mortgage, the loan, whatever it is, and I don't want to start again.
yeah.
How does that resonate for you?
Oh, look, I suppose if I didn't do that stuff when I was young and I'd have cowered back, and I was lucky enough that my mum was sort of like, she wasn't like, you have to do what your father says. Like, she was sort of like, it's up to you, like. you you can tell him this if you want. But it really, by making, I suppose, that decision earlier on, and said, like, what's the worst? Like, I'm just telling them I don't want to do that. And like, I understand, because when someone tells me they don't want to do something, I don't like it either, maybe. But and it was maybe he could have took a lesson out of. If he was a better mentor and leader, I would have loved to work for him. Like, and that's the way I want to be. I want when I have children someday, that they'll be like, geez, I want to work for my dad,
Hmm.
and even if it's not mechanic work, I want to work for my dad. But like, I probably yeah, probably I had different goals. Even though I was at that age, it was like I wanted to get some money together and buy something nice and buy a motorbike and have that joy. I'm like, what am I going to do for the summer? I couldn't see what I'm just going to go on at the end of the week being told, well, sure, Irarian. Like, and I know Irarian, but show me a bit of fucking, I need something,
Yeah, yeah, I
something to
hear you.
work for. I can't just go to work every day for nothing. So I need a small bit of a reward. If I didn't have a reward, something else, like you're learning, you're growing, and something you're interested in. You know yourself, like, sometimes
Yeah, yeah, of course.
always about the money. Like, I was never about the money. It was just, you needed something. Like, and with the job in the mechanic, I got both. I got to do something I was interested in. I got a few bit of pocket money. So
Yeah, epic, epic. Yeah, just to highlight on that as well, people getting shepherded into jobs that they dislike and getting
Mhm.
so far down the pipeline is one of the biggest reasons so many of people in society feel like they're stuck in a rut, feel like they're lost, and are basically miserable because they're not doing what they love to do every day.
Yeah.
It's a chore to go to the thing as opposed to upbeat and happy to be going to do the thing. So, what would you say to people who are listening to this now, Ollie, who might be in the shoes of, I don't like this job anymore, or yeah, I feel stuck, or I feel flat every day. I hate going to work. What would you say to people like that?
My father's passed away a few years ago, but there's a song that was sang going out the door. It's called The River. When he was going out the door, and a few words. I resonate with things a lot, like, and words and different things stick with me for years. But that song is The River, and part of it is like that I've always sort of listened. Line, it's one of the parts of the song which it says, "Don't sit along the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide." For me, that's like, what's the alternative? Like, you just wait, do nothing, go through your life, I could have worked as a carpenter, get €500 a week. But like, what's going to light you up? What's the worst that can happen? You can fail. What did it say? You can fail doing something you don't like. You might as well fail and do something you do like. And it's not always going to be easy, but sure, if everything was easy is no fun. Like, everyone needs a challenge, and when you can overcome a challenge, that's when you feel good. Like, this yourself, Darrow. You took your plunge from your trade saying to what you're doing, and that's been a massive challenge. But like, if it wasn't a challenge, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now. So it's good. Like, so it's growth. Like, that's it. Like, it depends on what you want, and obviously.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, I wasn't prepared to live my life not giving something a shot, because like, at the end of the day, like, what's the point otherwise? You just exist.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And fair play to you. Great answer. Just existing is okay for if that's what you love to do, or if you want a bit of ambition and get to a point in life where you can retire early, or even just do what you love every day, and that alone is retirement in itself. That's what brings you joy, and overcoming challenges also brings a lot of joy. I think what Ollie is highlighting there is you learn a lot about yourself during that process,
Yeah,
and you get to learn how much more you have in the tank.
for
If
sure.
that didn't break you, if that didn't break you, you get to go again, something
Figure that,
bigger and bolder. Yeah, speaking of which, so you yourself coming into your carpentry days, when did you start that? What was your experience in that
man.
world?
It was my experience was that is that I actually was going to go to college. My mum at that time, my mum and dad had split up. He was up the road, he was living in a house up the road, and he would have been drinking a lot that time, and probably on a self-destruct path. So mum was down the road, and I didn't know if I did or didn't want to go to college, but I went to college for like a few reasons, and I said, look, I want to go. Mum was very important for mum. This probably goes back to, it was very important for mum that went to college. She had the old school beliefs about going to
Uh-huh.
college. You have other cousins that are going to college, and oh, my son is doing this, or my son is like, we didn't have the one about my son joined the guards, because mum was like, I want you to be anything else but a guard. So I'm like, but she not that she ever looked down on trades, but probably was just a thing, growing up that time. It was like she wanted us to go to college. She'd worked so hard and she'd done so much sacrifices for us, that I want you to go to college. I want you to do a degree, and all this. So I went to college. I didn't go for long. I think I went for six,
Mhm.
got the grant for a few more weeks, but
What did you say?
I
6 weeks?
think I think I went to college for 6 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
But there was a different dynamic running that time. I was going to college, went to Letterkenny. I was going out with a girl in the local town, very missed her. That's what it's funny, because when I see people come to Australia to me and they want to go home, I'm like, mate, don't worry about it. I went to Letterkenny once and I was fucking homesick. Like, you're doing all right. Like, don't beat yourself up. If you don't want to be here, you don't want to be here, but give yourself a chance. Like, I remember going to Letterkenny, I was 17 or 18, and my mom, I'm like, fuck, I don't even want to wait here. Went staying in a bed sit with some mad woman in a fucking house. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what am I at? Doing some course I didn't want to do. And oh, fuck.
How far away from Sligo was?
It's only about a 2 hour drive, like. And then it's home, you swing
Yeah,
around.
it's the exact same as flying across the world to Australia.
Oh, stop! Like, but I was happy. I started doing work with my uncle doing carpentry, and he was like, he was the big building contractor in the local area, and I was playing football, and of course he wanted me to do the apprenticeship partly because he probably wanted me around for football or fucking hanging out a bit, and I was like, at the time, I remember my mindset's like, all I wanted to do was play football for GA for Eastgate, my local club, and work and earn money and then go out with my girlfriend. I didn't want anything else, like nothing else in the world. Like that would have just done me there and then for the rest of my life. In my mind, it was like, that was,
A simple man.
was it. Yeah, that was it. Get the 4-bed bungalow and the fucking beside between the house and the church and just go there. That would have been sound for me.
The house and the church and the babies, a
No,
few animals out the front,
yeah.
horses out the back.
Yeah, but that was that, and I ended up leaving. My uncle probably was instrumental in that. He wanted me to do the apprenticeship, but I don't regret. I went on years after and ended up doing before I went to Australia, I went up done a construction management degree online. So
A construction management degree online now.
yeah,
What about the carpentry? Did you,
yeah.
are you a qualified carpenter
Yeah,
or
no,
what happened there?
I done my qualifications with my uncle. I got a really good trade. In fairness, learned a lot of good stuff. He gave me a lot of life lessons. At the time, they weren't, as you know, we talk about the ego. Now I know about my own ego, and to be honest, he probably has one as well. he probably, he probably has one that fit the whole. I'd say the internet might even just about contain it. But anyway, he probably watch me. I don't think he talks to me anyway, so it's grand.
He might
uh,
not talk to you, but he listen to you if he listens
fucking,
to
he
this.
listened to me all right. I know. I know. He might talk to me after this podcast. But no, so he was in fairness, he was very good at giving me life lessons. Like I got some really good life lessons off him, really good ones. Like I remember one time I had a girlfriend and she was going to go to Sligo town and I had this car. I paid 7 grand for the 7 grand. I got bought a 2 grand car and 7 grand for the insurance. And at the end of the year, I neither had a car.
What?
Yeah, that's what it was back then. 7 grand. Oh no, sorry, 5 grand for the insurance and 2 grand for the car. I got a 7 grand loan. At the end of the year, I neither had a car nor insurance, but that's another story. I'll tell you in a sec. But my uncle
Funniest
gave me
episode, yeah.
the fucking my uncle gave me lessons like, and it just hits home because I'm quite like I own my stuff as well. Like, so he said to me once, I remember I said I can't work this Saturday. I'm going to Sligo with my girlfriend, and he's like, all right. No worries. And next thing, the girlfriend was in with her friend, and I don't think I'd go, and I don't think, and I'd miss my Saturday's pay, which was €50. And he goes, mate, that €50 would have bought a tire for your car. He says, you gotta realize, mate. He didn't say mate because he's Irish. He's fucking just probably says, oh.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, he said,
Young buck.
yeah, he said you gotta fucking put yourself here first. He said it's work, football, and then women. That's it. Get your stuff right. But he gave me a lot of good lessons. He sacked me once. He sacked me once when I realized the fucking ego. He made me self-employed, you know. I remember my aunt was building a house and he was helping her out build it. And I remember going, I was ambitious. I'm like, I want to do the roof on that house. I can do it in the evenings. I do it at the weekends. I'll fucking do it. Because I was good and I was getting ambitious. And he could see I was ambitious, but I was driving around. Actually, the guy who roofed it on, he worked for my uncle. He actually only passed away not so long ago. He's a really good guy. He was only 40.
God rest him.
Poor fella, he's at a wedding. But I was driving around. I used to drive around every evening, like after work. I see the fucking house, the blocks up. Is it ready to go? And I was fucking ready to go, get it up and make myself an extra few quid. And drive around. One evening I drove by and the fucking roof was up, and I'm like, oh, I was heartbroken, fucking heartbroken. I'm like, the fucking prick. He'd have to give the roof away now to someone else. And
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, you
yeah,
thought you
so
were in for a little nixer.
yeah, he was giving it to me. But then anyway, a day or two later, he called me into the house and he said, look, I'm going to put you on price. And I was like, fucking hell, fair. He was doing an estate of houses. So me and my brother went off doing houses. And rather than doing day work, we got a price for the house.
Oh wow,
Do the
epic!
roof.
What age were you?
20 about, I'd say. 21.
Oh, that's good.
He put me out on my own. He said, he's quite funny sometimes. He said to me, look at Joe Finnerty's strong, but he can't carry it forever. So get... He was so he put me out on my own work roofing houses, and we got the price. So once we got it done, we got paid for the house roof, we got paid for the floor, and we got paid for the doors, whatever we were doing. We got a price on it. I was working. I got really interested. Couldn't wait to get work and wouldn't wait to get home. Me and my brother, and I had a few fallouts with him. But I remember then I was getting that good at it. I could nearly be finished by a Wednesday evening or Thursday morning. And then it was summertime where I'm from in Escrone, Eastgate. It's lovely. Pick up my girlfriend, not turn in on a Friday. Like, not turn in because I work for myself, but I work for myself. But he goes, where are you? I said,
Go
well,
swinging.
I was a young lad.
Well, I'm self-employed. Go on, tell us.
He rings me up. He goes, where are you? I said, I'm away with Claire there. I'm just, maybe going to Bundoran or somewhere on holidays. And he goes, all right. He said, I need that porches done today, like on a different house. I said, but I have my work done. And he goes, all right, do you know what? He said, leave back your fucking van, leave back the tools, and fuck off. And I'm like, what a bollocks. Oh, fuck you. And then I was like, do you know what? Then when I came around with my own thing, and I got my own, bought my own van, and bought my own stuff after that, I was like, fuck him, he's wrong. And then I was like, Joe, he was fucking dead right. Dead right. Like, he told me, like, he said, I gave you that opportunity to better yourself, get more money together, buy a house, but you just done the bare minimum to get the same amount you were getting. You're not seeing the bigger picture. And he just gave me that lesson. I'm like, yeah, it's fair enough. Like, why would he pay me for 3 days? You know, why,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear
it
you.
was good. It was a good lesson. And look, appreciate a lot of them lessons. They've stood by me, you know.
Yeah, did you take it back on once you got your own
Oh, he took me back
equipment
on, yeah.
and van?
Why wouldn't he? Sure, fuck mate. Of course he did. He took me back on. We still have a love-hate relationship. We talk, we
Yeah, yeah.
talk, we talk 9 months out of 10, out of 12.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Proper Irish old schoolers.
Yeah.
Fucking Christmas in your gaff back at around the home house would be interesting, I bet.
Oh yeah, that's it. It's good. I know it's good, but yeah, look at it. I served my time with him for years, and what else? Then the recession came, and well, yeah,
Before you go into that, I want to swing it all the way back. You mentioned that your father was drinking a lot back in your mother and
yeah,
himself, they split up and he was on
yeah.
self-destruct mode. What was life like for you then? And what impact did that have on you?
Oh, oh, look, it was all right. Look, dad was unlucky. He was in a car accident. He unfortunately was in an accident that fella died in. So that was outside my secondary school. Oh fuck, that happened. He was coming home, like he was coming home from. Look, there was a guy who used to drink. He was half Irish English, but he was just hanging around the town, and dad had given him a caravan to stay in our yard. So he used to look after him. He used to do jobs around the house. He wasn't doing much. And we used to give jobs, and dad had given him a bit of painting. But dad was after leaving my brother to Letterkenny up to a course, and he was coming home to one of the towns and picked up senior man on the street just drinking or whatever, picked him up and gave him when they had a few pints like. But dad was 20, he's 20 something stone, natural thing they all have 5 or 6 pints on the way home. He was going out on the way home to my local town in Eastgate, and there's two diggers on the road, no cones on it, like not just saying this, but like there was no cones and it was dusk. And he was only going 30 kilometers, I think the report said, or less. He was just wasn't a speedy driver, hit the track of the machine and something came down and killed your man. Paul was his name, killed him. So that was right outside my secondary school. So that happened. I think I was in Leaving Cert, or maybe the day before, or maybe the year before, but that happened in the evening, and I was at home watching TV with my mum and my friend John Paul Healy. He's actually in Sydney. He called me and says, "Look, your dad's after having an accident," and mum's first response is, "Ah, it's probably just a ditch or something, you know, the usual at home, some fellas hit," but I said, "No," he said, "this is serious." Like, so we had to go into the local, we had to go into the, we had to go into the sort of scene and found out that your man was, he was dead. So I was with mum that night and we were there until about 4 o'clock in the morning at the police station up in Ballinan Mayo. But there was no, that was all. Dad ended up doing a year in jail after that. But there was no, you're not going to school tomorrow, like you're going to school. So I was there at
Uh-huh.
2 o'clock in the morning with her, and we came home, and I was up for school, and like I was playing football. I was like, I was in leaving cert, maybe, or yeah, no, I wasn't leaving cert. I was like, why is nobody giving out to me today? Like I was the usual fucking fest. I was just being myself, and everyone's looking at me weird. I'm like, you don't fucking affect me at all, like nothing. But then outside, when we were in the school, like outside, there was a police investigation going on. There was measuring tapes. There was engineers. This is outside my secondary school when I was
Uh-huh, yeah.
leaving cert, and the guys around with mobile phones for youngsters is only sort of coming in. And remember when the guys rang me, "Are you in today? We've got a football match." I said, "Yeah, I'll be in. I'll be in. No worries. I'll be in." And we were in. Mum made sure we went to school, and there was no like you're not going to school, like because she probably to be honest, looking back and the way she is now, she probably wanted her own space for the day, you know. She probably wanted
Uh-huh.
she didn't want to be looking at us, and she'd no time for softness anyway. She'd no time for letting you really just wallow in shit, like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
So, say
yeah.
again.
So yeah, no, that's probably fast track, and that was probably the period from that point onwards. That's where Dad went downhill, and probably he really much self-destructed from that point on. Before that, he was just drinking and functioning and working and all that. But that point was a sort of break, and he from that point onwards was 5 years, and 5 years on, and he was dead after that. So he couldn't deal with
Uh,
that. That's where a lot of the stuff is I see with the work you do. He could never he could never express it. And he told me, like, I remember I often had a few small bits of one-on-ones, like the bits he could sneak out. I remember I was in a pub just a week after, and I know the sign, I know what it is, but usually it's like something you've done on the night before. But I remember him saying to me, we were up there in a pub called the Hilltop, and we're drinking a pint with him, and this was just exactly about maybe 5 days after it happened, 4 days. And we were there, and there's a few people across the road and across the way in the bar, and they were judging him. And I remember looking, surely this isn't right. Like he said to me, like, Ollie, I can't believe I was here this night last week with Paul, and he's fucking gone. I said, I never meant to do this. And he looked across, and he was getting drunk, and he said to the lads, I never meant to do any of this. And they all were judging him. And I still even
mhm.
today, and that's fucking 20 years ago. I still remember the guys, I remember their face, and I'd still know some of them. They wouldn't know that, but I still have a bit of a
Yeah, yeah.
towards that moment. I'm like, you fucking pricks. You're driving down the road now with 4 points. The only difference between him and you is that you haven't had the misfortune of being in an accident. I just like had a lot of hate towards that, but it's not their fault either. They're ignorant to the fact that it was all right for them to to drive down the road, but they just didn't hit anything.
I hear you. And yeah, huge amount of love for that. And thank you for sharing. It's obviously a vulnerable share. I heard you
Mm.
at the start of that. So thank you for letting us all in. And then coming back to what you said there about the work I do and in terms of men, because a lot of traumatic events in all of our lives happen in all of our lives as big as that, and you know, there's no real barometer to measure them. What's big
Yeah.
for us is could be huge for somebody else in X, Y, and Z. So the importance of that. So if you can highlight to the listener, if your dad or your father had a good release mechanism to get that trauma out of his system, how could his life have changed or improved?
Yeah, look at 100%. I've always reflected on that. It's been a driver for myself to like be more like always be more vulnerable. I started this sort of, I don't know what you call it, but the type of work that me and you do, the different type of work that lasts,
Personal development.
personal development work, probably 7 or 8 years ago, or probably just before I started Trade Connects. But like I always reflect back on like what is the if I had a chance to do something, what would the one thing I do? And I've done like a lot of different plant medicine and therapy on myself. And it always goes back to the fact of my dad in that time and even in times before. And you just see his face and his head was just so congested with shit. And then always like going to the pub and joke and people making
Mm-hmm.
jokes with you and joke and joke. And then no one actually ever asking, well, are you? No one ever is figuring, are you all right? Like, can we actually, or getting it off. And I just felt like he was like this container that was ready to explode and he just didn't know what to do. He didn't know if his friends had pulled the piss out of him, I suppose. Didn't have nowhere vulnerable to go. Felt like that's what
Mm-hmm.
like it is for a lot of men. It's like, if I do say this, like I've let down my image of I'm the big man or I don't, no, nothing bothers me. You know who I am and I can fucking drink 150 pints, can do this. Like, if you let that down, then I felt like if dad had someone to talk or had someone or something and to let stuff off his mind, he might have had that freedom to go on and release all that shit out, release all that guilt or whatever he was dealing with. At that time, or even stuff that before in his life, like, it might never have got to them points where he was in situations that he got into an accident.
Mm-hmm.
If he'd had that. But yeah, look at that. You know yourself what Ireland is like. Then it's everyone is laughing and joking, and no one is sort of coming to the real point. Like, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, definitely back then, and it's great. Again, thanks for sharing. There is a huge change happening in Ireland right now, and I fucking love seeing it. Just some guys I'll mention now in a second. But
yeah,
yeah, just coming back to yourself there, Irish people, me included, back in the day, before I understood, used to drink just to suppress these emotions because you
yeah,
don't feel like we can chat to people. and basically express and get them off our chest. What Ollie is sort of saying is his head is full of all of this shit, which again our body is also full of it. And unless we express it in a healthy manner, it's going to show up as disease in the body, or it's going to make you break down. So you get injured, you get depressed, you get all sorts of things happen. But one way or the other, it's coming out of your body. So instead of waiting for the volcano to erupt, or the bomb to go off, or your health to decline, it's better to be proactive and get into circles and places where you can express all of this unprocessed trauma, all of this somatic energy, and all of these unprocessed emotions and get them out of your system. Is that right, Ollie? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's it. I actually, yeah, that's it. My first experience of something like that was in that group you're involved with, Preston Smiles and Alexi. I done it in Melbourne a few years ago, and that was my really first experience of like letting go of some stuff that was bothering you. And it's amazing what you can do. And look at, even if you're not into doing that sort of stuff, like just having a regular good group of friends that isn't that, like, don't get me wrong, you can have good groups of friends that are in the pubs and that, but I found that with us Irish, we're always sort of joking, and it's just a joke, and but it's sometimes it's more than just a joke. You're digging, and
Cover up.
you're covering up, and you're projecting your shit on someone else, and oh, look at you, the big man,
Mm.
and all this, and it does affect other people, and it's like, you know, when are you going to have a normal conversation? Let's talk about something here. Like, it doesn't have to be just like blasé, throw.
Football,
Oh,
the woman last night, or the
yeah, yeah.
nightclub, or
Oh, shit.
the
Yeah.
surface level chats.
Surface level, and then pulling the piss out of each other. Like, sometimes we might, like, I was definitely has changed the last couple of years. I think when we started doing this stuff, would have been only two or three men in a room doing this self-development work. Now the room is nearly 50-50, probably still a bit more women doing it, but it's definitely
Mm.
good, like, to get that stuff, and even just having a real solid group of friends, and that's
Yeah. Thank you, Ollie. Yeah, and it's definitely changing. So get better with Chris as a guy in Dublin.
yeah.
He's doing this running. I think in West Sea, I believe he was struggling with addiction. He's beat addiction, and now he's going around Ireland. Right now, he's in the process of doing the 32 counties. So running 5K in every county. But he's bringing the community along with him, and anybody that wants to get involved. There's people all over Ireland now that are doing there's yin yoga with Jen, which is on the beach in Dublin. And then they also do the meetups, the morning for the sea dips. There's the doggies.
Two of
And
them.
then there's another at the inner city running club, and they're all in Dublin. But there is people all over Ireland that are doing things, and they're creating the environment for people to just open up, because it gets to a stage where it doesn't need vulnerability. It's just an everyday conversation, and it's nothing to be
Yeah.
feel guilty of or ashamed of, because what you're doing, it's more healthy to do that than it is to go to the pub and drink the 10 pints. There's nothing wrong going having a few drinks. What place you're doing it from, that
Yeah.
tells you what's right and wrong for your own health and your own personal health. So thanks for highlighting all of that stuff, Ollie. You mentioned you were going into a recession, and yeah, what happened there? You went into a recession.
Well, yeah, this was actually, yeah, so that was probably one another big time. I was going into a recession, and my uncle was a big contractor, and that sort of went all bit tits up. And I just finished my apprenticeship, done all these 4 years, and then there was actually no work in Ireland. Like, I couldn't, like, to tell someone that even now still that there was no work, like, you're literally doing a cabinet for your auntie, or doing something small and that was all you had to do. So I ended up, I was going out with a girl, and we ended up breaking up on the 1st of June. What year was that? 2010, I think. Yeah, 2000. It was 2010, and I remember I just got a local guy who was building a house, and I ended up getting the job, and I sort of had to hustle to get it. I was given the price. I think it was fucking cheap as fuck. It was like €3,500, and me and a friend were going roofing it, and he went off to America playing football. So I was left at this house to do. She was gone, broke up with me, and and then I this house, I sort of got it so I could wait around for the summer and hang out with her. And next thing, she was gone, so I ended up getting someone else to give me a hand to roof it. And my sisters were giving me a hand, throw me up slates, and just get it out of the way. Just got it whacked out in 3 weeks, and I left the country because of, like, I can't same as I didn't know what to do, didn't know how to deal. First heartbreak was like, Jesus Christ, what is this? Didn't have a clue what to do with it. And ended up going, fella used to pull in, he was driving by, and I was like, well, I just go to London. Like, I don't really know anyone in London when I go to London, and I didn't have fuck all money. So a guy used to drive by and he pulled in, and he was from two towns down. He goes, I know a guy in Glasgow, Connor Cairns. He's actually in Australia now and he does very well for himself. I said, why don't you give him a call? It's cheaper in Glasgow. And I said, well, fuck it. Let's go to Glasgow. I go to Glasgow, rang him. He said, yeah, come on over. Stayed with him a weekend. Then came back, got my national insurance number, all that sort. And about a week or two later, moved over for good. He said, yeah, stay in my house. So I arrived over. My first cousin was over there doing a college course. He was a bar manager. He was over there. And he had so I was meant to stay with Connor, and I landed over, and he was going out with a girl from Glasgow. And she probably won't listen to this podcast. But anyways, good for the purpose of being genuine. She's an absolute nut job, right? She was a nut job. So if you are listening, I'm not sorry. Anyway, we keep going. But he landed over to Glasgow. I landed with two suitcases, a broken heart, and no money. And arrived at his fucking door, and she was texting me, no, you can't stay here. My nephew is here. And I'm going like, I just passed on. I was in the taxi on the way to his house, like, from the airport. The pissing rain outside. I said, don't worry, like, I get it. I'll make it happen. Like, I'm like, found. I'll sleep on the fucking floor. I'll sleep on the ground. She's like, no. Next line, landed at the house, and he was a bit under. She was nuts, like, so he couldn't do anything. And she's like, no, you can't stay here. And went to fucking try and stay there, couldn't stay there. I'm like, fuck. So I had to go and find my cousin, I hadn't spoken to him in years, end up staying in his college digs. Met Connor at the weekend. And William Hill betting slip with a load of numbers. I still have it actually for memory's sake. But Connor's actually a really nice guy and a really good friend of mine still. And he's like, sorry, look, I don't know how I can explain it. It's just fucking mad. He met her, yeah. But anyway, she was just mad. So
that's his business, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, that was it. But that's it. End up staying with him. Got a job. Eventually got a job with a company. That time you wouldn't really be applying online. You go around, and I went around to the sites. But I ended up getting a job with at a company called Dun Concrete. I think there's some relation to Lang O'Rourke's. I was there working as a former carpenter. I'm a roofing carpenter, and I remember just seeing what like ignorant leadership was like. I remember going over there, and I was like, Jesus, I never wore a hard hat really, but I was all wearing all the gear, and I was never on a big massive site with all residential houses I used to. Arrived over, and this fella from Mayo says to me, I'd never done farm work, but I'm a good chippy. Like, I can roof a house, I can fucking do loads.
Yeah.
But he said, if you can't have that wall up this evening, you've no business being here. I'm like, well, I fucking never done a wall, but like, if you show me what to do, I'll fucking do it. And it's just like, you fucking asshole, like, you know, absolute genet. But anyways, I ended up getting over all that and getting working. But I was only there 3 weeks, and I got my father passed away, so it was quite a hard time. Actually, was it there? I was only in the country 3 weeks, and I hadn't even got my first week's pay. But I had a dream. This is where I started to start being in spirituality and stuff. And like, I had a dream on a Sunday night that my dad was in a coffin and the clay was falling in on him. And I tried to stop it, and I sweat. I came back to the house, and I said to my cousin, I said, Martin, I said, I had a dream last night, fucking mad, like that dad had passed away. I said, and he was in a coffin, I couldn't stop it. And I went to work. I think it was either the next day or the day after. I said it to Martin, so that's why I'm pretty confident. I'm 100% confident what I dreamt. So I said it to him.
Yeah.
I wasn't like I made it up afterwards, because he'd be always wondering. And because he said to me after Dad died, he goes, you fucking said that to me on Monday, like, or whatever. I went to work, and came back. I was told him, but then it was the next day. I went to bed, got a phone call 3:00 in the morning saying, geez, Dad's after taking a turn. And he wasn't sick, like, he was just like unhealthy from drinking and that, but he wasn't sick or anything. And then got a phone call 10 minutes later, and my brother, and I knew he was dead. So that was 3:00 in the morning, and I was working for this company. It was hard to get work. It was really hard working. Like, the days were hard. But when I got that news, still I got up. When we used to get the bus that time, I think it was 5 in the morning, bus to work. I got up and got the bus to work, and I was in at work to meet your man or whatever at 6:30 to meet the foreman. I just told him, look, I have to take the time off. My father's after passing away. That was a Wednesday. I think it was either the following Monday or the Monday week I was back at work. But I felt like I had to go in, because, like, you know, that job meant so much, that if I didn't go in, I didn't get back to that job, like, I was pretty fucking fucked, because we didn't have no money, like. And I think my first pay was think it was on the day that my father's like wake was on or something like that. I remember getting
Yeah.
it was like, oh, that's my first pay. Like, so it was quite a difficult time. Flew back flew back to Ireland and usual crack, went into overdrive, got all around the house cleaned up and got all around the house cleaned up and a massive funeral and all that. And there was no alcohol at our funeral, at my dad's funeral, and it was really good. It was really good. Like for a funeral, it was really good. It was just like to show the massive respect people had from him. It was really good, and the thought the
Hmm.
family put into the preparations for the funeral, the music and the eulogy. It was good. Like, it was a good time, and that was a good time, and that was good. Like, even though it was a funeral, it was good. It was a good time, and but coming back to Glasgow it was fucking dark. Like, Jesus, yeah,
Hmm.
it was very dark. I come home and I was in my room in Glasgow. It was just so fucking dark. Like, it was so fucking depressed. And like, where the fuck am I at? Like, life had been turned upside down. Like, no girlfriend
Hmm.
for that month. But my best friend and my cousin John, after the month's mind, he'd made a decision to come back to Glasgow with me. So that was really nice, and we've had a massive bond for years. So we traveled a lot since together as well. So
Well, big love and fair play to you again for sharing that with
yeah,
us. Glasgow sounds like it's dark. Anyways, it gets
yeah,
really
yeah,
dark there. It's cold. It's wet. It's grey.
yeah.
It's probably a tricky place to change our mindset in.
Yeah. No, there wasn't much of that. We didn't have much time for mindset, to be honest. It was get up, go to work, come home, put a fucking chicken burger in the oven and sleep and go again. That was it. It was hard working and long hours and long hours, cold, wet. There wasn't much time for fun. We were working 6 days a week.
Yeah,
And then the only fun we knew what to do. There was no like healthy habits. All we knew what to do was go down to the pub where everyone else went and had a few pints, or either went mad on a Saturday night into the Irish pub in the city, or £2 for a pint inside in the toll booth, the Irish bar inside the city. We didn't do any different. That's what we're programmed to do.
that's just exactly. I hear you. So look,
Mhm.
I'm gonna fast forward just in the basis of
Yeah.
time, because you'll know you speak about depression again later in the story. Yeah, so you went to Australia, you tipped around and you set up your own company.
Yeah, so I'll speed it up there a bit. Went to Australia, went over with five friends, ended up getting a job in a company called West Force Construction. The construction management degree, I done it when I was online while I was in Glasgow as well. So I was always wanted to be doing bits and pieces to help myself be better. And
Yeah,
ended up going over to Australia. We were filling out forms like fuck. We landed into Australia. We're in Thailand for 10 days, landed into Australia. And remember the first night we're in this backpackers and we said, fuck, we're arriving at 11 o'clock. We don't really have much, so let's not bother with accommodation. We'll check in the next morning. So we went in and we stayed in the TV room for the first night to save the $25. Couldn't get a job for the first while, and this guy fella, I remember Ireland were playing Wales in the Rugby World Cup 2011, and this guy, I went down to the local bar, Rosie O'Grady's, and there was $12 for a bottle of Bulmers, and I went in and bought them. I said, fuck it, I actually bought three of these. I said, I can't afford anymore. This shit, like, I spent all my money in Thailand. I arrived into Australia with $1,500, and I owed the bank about 13 grand at home. And I said, fuck it.
Good times.
Went back up
Ah.
went back up to the hostel, and there was a guy there. He came in with a poster, someone backpacker wanted for olive spraying. And I went up and I said, can I get that job? He goes, oh, you'll have to speak to the boss. $1,000, it said, free accommodation. I'm like, fuck, jackpot. He used to get a toasty and a bottle of beer I would left the pub and went toasting a bottle of beer. And all the Irish guys are all out watching rugby. And toasting a bottle of beer in that thing in the backpacker. So I was having it, and this fella, I was sitting down and I was having it, and this fella comes in and pins up $1,000. I remember it. I still have his name in my phone book. Went down anyways, meant to pick me up, and we'll go down spraying. They're doing this olive oil things down way south to Western Australia. Pick me up, meant to usual Australian, taking it easy. Yeah, man, it's all right. Meant to pick me up Monday morning at 5 o'clock. I think it was Wednesday morning before he got me. We ended up being down there for a week and worked hard. I was spraying weeds, and he picked me up in a fucking Porsche 4x4. I'm like,
Oh,
Christ, you're the first farmer I've ever met with a Porsche. But anyway,
oh, wow.
drove a few Spanish family. I ended up doing the week with them and got a. I'm like, he told me then, I didn't get paid, but it was out of heedlessness. I didn't get paid at the start. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it's just like Ireland, didn't get paid. then I finally got through to him. I got an email. He goes, "I'm in Singapore." I'm like, "That's lies. Like, how the fuck could you be in Singapore?" But he was a big businessman. Like, he was in Singapore and all these places. Like, yeah, right. This is another old story in here at home. I'm in Singapore, like
Yeah, where he's around the
like
pub.
the gypsy tell you when he's not paying you that he's in London. But he arrived me around, went out, I went around to his family were a Spanish family, lovely people. I went around, he said, call around to my parents' house. They made me food, and rather than give me the 1,000, he gave me 1,250 in cash. I remember going in and I brought all the boys. I brought all the boys that came over. We brought them all out from McDonald's that evening. I thought I was loaded. But
The good times, huh?
yeah, it was good times. It was really good. Got a job with
Yeah.
Wentworth Construction and an Irish guy there called Phil Clark. We applied to everyone and ended up getting a job with them I couldn't believe it. Like my luck. I done the construction management. He must have seen that I was a carpenter and had construction management, which was a good mix for sort of like a junior role for him. So I ended up getting a junior engineer role in the mines. Yeah, it was really like the money was, it wasn't, I don't say it was bad money. It was $25 an hour at the time, and we're in the office and I was learning spreadsheets and doing claims and all this. And I was like, fucking hell, this is great. But of course, some of the Irish jealousy came in. There was fellas who were carpenters and they're like, oh, you're only earning half the money I am. But they were really just jealous. They thought I could see into their bank account because I was behind a computer. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I don't talk to anyone at home about what you're earning. Well, if you tell anyone at home, I'm like, I don't know what, I don't have any accounts. I'm just doing fucking different shit. I can't see into your.
Yeah,
I'm on a laptop. I'm on a laptop. It doesn't mean I can fucking see what you fucking spent your money
see
on.
what Jocks are wearing
Yeah, but he did
today.
this idea and they wanted to create a bullying campaign against me, which was fucking tough. And I'm like, you two fucking pricks, both your father, both your father you used to all work for my uncle or my father, and you're just trying to take this shit out of me that I think I'm great. I said, I'm not thinking I'm great. So they had this campaign of just being arseholes, and we actually end up sort of making up years later. But like, I'm like, you're just fucking pricks, like, just because I've got a job and I want to better myself, and like you're at home telling everyone, oh, I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder because my dad had died and I wanted to earn money for my mom and my sisters. I'm like, I'm not listening to any fucking pricks. I'll fucking knock one of you out if you want. That's what I'll do. And I
Mhm.
ended up doing that. So,
they,
but
they got around to give one
I know
slap, did you?
we ended up having a bit of a war. Yeah, but we're friends now. Like we met up years later, but I'm like, you know what, you're just absolute dicks, and just ended up having a bit of a bang. But no harm. That
For
was
anyone
before
who's
the
listening to
unhated me.
this,
Ah.
before the unheard me, if anyone's listening, Ollie just threw a loaf at the camera.
I did, but
The good times.
great time. But no, that was
Yeah.
that.
The
Entrepreneur.
old Irish way.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
entrepreneurial started out with a loaf. Wow, I love it.
yeah, it did, but
Uh,
that was good.
yeah, well, this is it, man. It's just also, I know I laugh, but I understand exactly. I spent 21 years in construction, and it's a particularly toxic environment, especially when people are just being ratty for no reason based on their ego and belief system. I mean, I'm sure even if whatever money they were earning, it's none of your business to be sharing anyways.
Yeah.
So the bounds they were picking with you were unsubstantiated. Is that right?
Yeah, no, for sure. It wasn't about them and the money. Like they were earning twice the money I was. It's just that they thought that I was more intelligent or something because I was on a computer and I wasn't doing that type of work. I don't know. I think it was just a really way of thinking. What would people think of you at home? Or they'll think that Ollie's his boss, and that wouldn't
That
say.
you're the boss. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
if
hear
so,
you.
I was just like in an office, but like in Ireland, they think just because you're in an office, you're the boss. Like, but like fucking some of the most successful people are out in the fucking
On the tools.
yeah. So it's not.
Yeah, I know some people, man, doing really good, setting up massive businesses,
Yeah,
and it all starts with the skills and the wisdom along the way. So
yeah,
it goes both ways, man. There's no fucking difference, and it doesn't matter, does it? What matters is that we help each other and build each other up. You
yeah,
know, if the lads were friendly with you and instead of fucking trying to cut you down, you never know. You could have set up a business to compete with all these other big companies, gone into
yeah,
the mines and the tier ones over in Australia, which is huge business.
yeah.
Anyways, speaking of that, actually, that's a good segue because that's sort of where you're playing these days. Yeah, before that, actually, you spoke about being depressed, and you went to the bridge experience, and then you transitioned into what you're doing today. So give us a
Yeah.
window into that.
Yeah, so I suppose suppose I'm a very proud guy. I'm very proud of my family. I'm very hard. Like I very much wanted to look after them. So I should probably say before I ever set up my company and that I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder after Dad died. That sort of my mindset was that like I'm not going to leave his job unfinished. Like I wanted to make sure that Mum would be looked after. My dad was a looker after. He always made sure that like we could eat well, as best he could, he'd make sure that we'd have money to do stuff and that. So he worked hard. So my sister's only 16 when Dad passed away. So I just made it a bit of a thing that it was a bit of a driver for me. I definitely believe that I wouldn't have done as well as I have if I didn't have that sort of driving purpose and that chip on my shoulder to succeed because of the situations we were in. And there wasn't much money around that time. I'd moved to Australia and I decided, yeah, I was going to make them. So I went to the mines and 2.5 years there, I was making really good money. I was helping my sisters out, my mum out as best I could. With college stuff, like different things. I remember my sister Susan one time I was walking out to work and she went to Limerick and someone robbed the house and she just paid the deposit and she wanted to move somewhere else. And I remember walking down the road and being able to transfer a thousand euros. And it was good because that time €1,000, I wouldn't save it in a year. So I was able to do stuff like that. And that was my purpose really. And I suppose I might have been about a year into Trade Connect. I had a few goals in my mind, and one of them was to get $1 million into my bank account, and one was to fucking put my sisters and help them out and put them through college. So that is sort of all passed and done. And I went into a bit of a like, what's the fucking point? Like, why am I doing it? Like, why am I making money? What's the point? Like, I don't have a family. Like, why? Like, my sister's gone through college. What am I going to do? Like, what do I do now? Like, what am I doing anything for? So that was the mindset I was in. Oh, I have a business. Yeah, grand. It looks good. It's on Facebook. Well, like, why am I doing it? Am I affecting other people? Am I helping? I just had this negative mindset and just felt a bit really like lost, probably more of a loss of purpose. And like, I don't have any reason to be. It was sort of like the fucking fight. I've read the Tyson Fury book as well, like how he dealt with it. The fight to the top was way more better fun than actually like getting to the actual goal. So when I got to the goal, I was like, what's next? Like, this is pretty fucking boring. I had got it done, got a good bit of money put into the bank. It was for I had no tax paid at that time, so I probably had about €100 left after I paid my tax and all that. And anyway, but I hit the goal I wanted to hit, and then done the things with my sisters and my mom and all that, and I'm pretty satisfied with the job I'd done on that. So I was like, I'm pretty fucking bored now. I don't really give a fuck. I wanted something to fight for. Like I don't have anything to fight for. So I just got really down.
So you got depressed. So just coming back, thank you for sharing again, vulnerably being honest about your story and speaking the truth. Again, this goes out online, so it's for everyone's ears now. So I appreciate that and have huge respect. So thanks for sharing. And what Ollie is highlighting here is he had a goal to hit $1 million in the bank account and also to look after his mother and look after the two sisters, get them in through college. And when you hit and reach all of those targets and goals, you felt empty. You fell into a depression after that because you didn't have purpose in your life anymore. Is that right?
Yeah,
I feel like you had purpose.
Yeah, no, I never didn't have no reason to do it. I was like, what's the point? I don't have kids, don't have family, didn't even have a fucking I didn't even have a dog at the time. So
now you had two. Idiot.
Too bad. I had no reason. Like I'm like, what's the point? I don't care about buying a bigger car. I don't want a fucking house. I don't really care. What's the point of buying a house? Who's going to go into it? Like, what am I going to do? That was the mindset. It was like, what's the point?
Amazing. Right. Thank you for sharing that because I'm going to highlight two things here. A lot of people think material riches brings happiness. You have money, you're happy, right? I know, you know, we've been in circles for long enough to know, and our own personal experience, that's bullshit. And what I also want to highlight here is when Ollie created the goals that were bigger than him, he had huge amount of purpose and drive to complete the goals and get the targets to impact other people's lives. And as soon as it became so that once you've done that, you had all your drive and purpose for those goals. But once you've done that and it became only about money and material that you don't really care about, you got depressed, you went into a dark hole, and you were in a spiral. What the fuck is this all about? Blah, blah, blah. So the reason I'm just differentiating between the two, this is for the listener as well. Ollie, you can jump in.
No, that's good,
Yeah, the reason I'm differentiating the two here is when you have a purpose that is bigger than yourself, you will fucking not only get to that goal, you'll smash it out of the park.
Mm.
But when you make your purpose only about material riches and cars and houses and money and all the rest of those things that society tells us we need to have in order to be successful, it's a big trap because when you get to that fake success, you realize how empty it is. And none of those things bring happiness. Could be 1 million, could be 10 million. Even one of my clients, man, fuck, just going in here. My wealthiest client was worth $100 million. He signed up to regain purpose in his life again, overcome his the low confidence he had, public speaking in his own business in his own field, and he had a mistrust with himself and with women. But the number one thing was to be happy and have purpose again in his life. So this is full evidence that it doesn't matter the number on the screen. He had two. This is incredible as well. He had two. The Peaky Blinders. You ever see that show? He had
Yeah.
two of them cars in his garage. He showed me them on one of the calls. Two of them, pristine. So coming down to the cars, the boats, the fucking everything that he had, none of it made him happy or feel like he had purpose. And that's similar to what Ollie is speaking about.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that, Ollie. What would you add into that? Because now you're
Um,
connected to a lot of high net worth individuals.
yeah, look, I suppose like I probably go back to it. Like that was the thing. It was this goal of having that amount of money, but that money wasn't even real. Like that was, as it says, that was like for a new anything about business. It was just to get to that number, and I didn't know it happened because that was the goal. But never, after when I knew what business, I probably didn't have that at all. But the what I would say by hanging around really good people and by people who are more successful, they've never concentrated on what you said there. They've never concentrated on just making money for themselves. They've actually concentrated on doing something like really, really, really cool, really good, like really good. Something, as you said, bigger than themselves. Like for instance, that my friend that David Shahidi that you met, his he wants to help people like create wealth through property and freedom through property. And like you can see when you're talking to him, don't get me wrong, he probably makes money out of it. He does make money out of it. But like his main thing is that he is passionate about giving other people the opportunity to do the things he's doing and all that. My own purpose is connecting people with opportunities. It's not just a bullshit thing that I put on my fucking website. Like it's like I have people ring me from home. And there was a guy a couple of years ago, Kevin Scott. His son came over and I gave him a job, and we're at a wedding, and he goes, came outside and he shook my hand and he goes, "Thank you very much for looking after my son." And that's opportunities for them traveling, and that meant more to me than as if you gave me fucking $500,000. I wouldn't give a shit. When people like for instance, the other day, I was in Bali. I was actually in Finn's Beach Club, the best fucking place in the world. I was actually really enjoying myself. And I got an email from my national school, my primary school back in Sligo, Ratley, where I've had such fond memories. And they asked me about they wanted to raise money to buy new goalposts. And she said, "Do you want to raise a contribution towards $800, €800 towards it?" And I said, I'll give you the €800. The school was very good to me. Like I was very good. I fucking Evelyn Brady brought us and spent her own money, bought us chips and burgers, and we played sport.
Good
If
times.
I can have that
Salt and
effect,
vinegar. And out
yeah,
as
and the way
Boston.
home. if I, if I can have a positive effect and like do something good, and it's not like one time in the past, don't get me wrong, I would do something from a ego, a place, oh, I want my name up in this banner, I want this, I want that. But now I just do good things for people that they wouldn't even know. Some people wouldn't even know that I've done it because I actually just really get enjoyment out of helping people with an opportunity to better themselves either personally or in the business. And but on the flip side, when someone with the trust thing, if someone doesn't reciprocate that in the other way, like I still have to work on that. It's like, why did you do this? Like I'm trying to help you out and you're just being, yeah. But anyway, that's another story. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's when basically back to what you were saying, anyone I've seen in my communities, and same as some of the guys in the community and women and ladies in the community I'm in, some of them are 100 million plus businesses, and they will talk to anyone. They'll talk to the beggar on the street. They've got time for you. They're really humble people and they do it for the right reasons. They're doing it for really good reasons. They will, and they give you time on the phone if you want to speak to them. And that's the type of leader and person I want to be. And like for me, a leader isn't a guy in a suit sitting in the big office up there and leader is someone who's in the center and creating other leaders around them as well, you know.
Epic, epic. Thank you for sharing that, and well done for getting the gold posts, because
Mm.
it's the little things that give us purpose. It doesn't
Yeah,
always have to be so big, but I think giving to others is probably the what gives me the most purpose in life. This work, this podcast, this is my time. I'm spending it with you, gentlemen. It's been the funniest episode yet.
that was one goal. I didn't hit the goal. I got the goal this time. So
Yeah, exactly. You'll have to get a separate on your desk as well.
I'll have to
But
get no.
again,
Yeah,
this is my contribution, part of it.
yeah,
This is obviously a high investment running this podcast, both my time, finances, energy, and everything else that goes into doing this. But again, the feedback that comes from it is like it's incredible. And if it inspires one person to go off and follow the purpose and live their dreams, well, that's the job done, really, isn't it?
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, that's the job done, really. So, in your community, which is similar, chase impact, not income.
Yeah,
Chase impact, not income, because the income will come, and
yeah.
people who build off of build with selfish foundations, they usually lead to burnout or sickness, or they lose everything. Is that what your experience
Yeah,
has
I
been?
know. Yeah, we've even seen like in I suppose in the community that I'm in as well, people they would have went down that path first and then they've come back to whatever's happened and burnouts, all the stuff you just mentioned, and they would have come back, found what they really wanted to do, came back and rebuilt themselves. You sometimes in our community, what we do, like what happens in the K2 community is people end up rebuilding themselves and realize that it's not a marketing problem, it's not a sales problem, it's a fucking problem with yourself here. Like you're self-destructing, like your
That's a personal problem.
personal problem, and then they come back and then they'll just end up businesses start flourishing when you started fixing the shit that's going on with you, and like, you know, that's it. Like
Yeah.
what's the point of just making money? You have to do some sort of an impact.
Yeah, look after others along the way. Well, that's
Yeah.
it, man. I don't measure success in all the stuff you have. I measure success in how many people you've not just brought along for the journey, but taught how to go through the journey by
Mm,
themselves too. So it's not you're bringing them, it's you're
mm.
showing them the way so they can go the way themselves. Creating leaders, as you said earlier. Um, Dan Martell is huge. Have you ever heard of Dan Martell?
No.
He's huge. He's huge. I think he's a marketer, but he's a legend. Really good. Gives back. He's. I was just seeing on his Instagram there. I don't know whether it was one Lamborghini that was his or all of the fleet were his, but he brought them to the community centre that he's a part of. He donates his time to or whatever. But the kids got to pull the corner. Like he'd never even he'd seen them. He picked them. He bought them. But they got to pull the covers off the Lamborghinis, and then
Yeah,
they all got to start the cars before he ever did.
yeah,
So gifting experiences like that to disadvantaged or lower class communities, like it's priceless,
yeah,
which
sure,
creates the inspiration and X, Y, and Z. The K2 Elite program or Cow and Ray community that you're in,
yeah.
how has it impacted your life to get into a community like that of people who just want to support you to get to wherever you want to be in life?
Yeah, look at I done his course a few years ago. I met him in Byron Bay and ended up doing his course. Met him in Byron Bay with my ex-girlfriend walking down the street, and he was in the restaurant, and I was sort of like a sign list. I always looked at the stuff online. I was like a sign a sign to sign up, and so fuck it, I signed up and done the first course with me and Joe who worked with me. Done it. It was like a 4 day, 3 day course. Ended up getting pulled up on stage. It was quite funny. Like he got pulled me up on stage, and it was like the typical. I had used a business coach, but I wasn't fully in a good place. We had massive success in our business, but with no systems or process. So I ended up getting pulled up on stage in an example, and I was all fucking punched up, and I was like, I'm not fucking buying another thing here, this courses and that, and fuck this, and I'm not buying it. You know, you would have come up against loads of that, I'm sure, Dara said. I
Oh,
don't.
of course.
And I was like, complete objection. I'm like, I'm not. I fucking have a business thing. Like we had at that time our revenue that was like we done like 11 million in revenue in that year approximately, like not really having a clue what we done, with some good customers, good big clients that I trusted, no real systems or processes or any of that in place. Like some of them was just coming down to a few really good customers. So he goes, this shows what I knew about business. He goes, asked a few people, took examples. Some people had $100,000 business, then to that, and he goes, if there was one more person to come give an example, and I just like fuck, put the hand up, he created that tension, put the hand up, and he goes, so what's your revenue now? What was your revenue last year, and what's your revenue now? That was the criteria. How much have you dropped? He goes, well, I said we done 11 million last year. I said we were doing about 7 million this year. He goes, so you've dropped 4 million revenue. And how does that affect you? I said, I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. And he's like, what?
Mhm.
Like, because there were some people who were serious about business looking at me like, what the fuck is sort of wrong? But I didn't actually. The genuine thing is, I actually didn't give a fuck. Like I had no reason to make money, and I didn't give a fuck. Seriously.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
I'm like, I don't really care. Maybe it's non-educated. I don't. I just look at them. Not like when you make it. I don't really care how much money I make, and as long as I have enough, I'm happy enough. Maybe that's the wrong way of looking at it. But I went up on stage and he gave it. He said he just shook his head in disbelief. He said, "This is just fucking brilliant." He said, "Just like the accidental millionaire." Um, but me and Kerwin, myself and Kerwin actually have quite a good bond. It's like we serendipity, like he said, you met me in Byron Bay pretty much for a reason, like obviously, and we've had this connection. We get on pretty well, like, and we're quite similar with the same sort of humor, and we can get in a bit of trouble for some of the stuff we say. I still have a long way to go in my leadership, and learning different things, like definitely implementation has been one of my biggest things that I haven't really. I've went to these courses, sometimes I haven't implemented everything I've learned, but the
Mhm.
community, back to the point, the community I'm in, went through some massive business challenges after entering the community. Two companies I was working with liquidated, but that was huge, like absolutely fucking huge. Went through a relationship breakup as well, and the community was just unbelievable for helping, because everyone inside that community, some people have been through like massive trauma, some people have went through massive success, loss, double success. The experience of the people, like just simple things that you think if someone else said it to you, you mightn't believe it. It's like one of the guys in there, Albert, he's like, someone fucks you over, the money, sound, get them off, it's their problem. It all comes back,
Mhm.
don't worry about it. And his attitude is just make enough that you can afford to lose some. It's pretty basic, but he's like, just you know what?
Just keep going.
It's their problem. If they want to fuck you around, that's the way they want to carry on. Let it off. Another guy, Jason Witten, gave me really good advice. I was hating on these guys that were liquidated. We lost 5 years profit. I lost that million I made and wanted to make. I lost it all. Made
Yeah, yeah.
We lost almost $2 million over with two companies that liquidated, and a guy said, "I'd fucking nothing left, zero, fuck all left in the bank, ready to roll with in business." Like, and he said to me, "I wanted to hate everyone, I wanted to kill everyone, I wanted to kill them, I wanted to fucking sue them, do whatever I could, I wanted to fucking." And he said, "If you keep following this hate," and this Jason has come back from massive
Losses
Oh,
or
he lost like 12. I think back in the GFC, him and his partner, they have a massive successful business now. But he stayed true to his values. The way they could have got out of that debt was they could have divorced, and the debt would have been with him and she wouldn't have been affected. But they decided not, this wasn't in the integrity and what they wanted. And they went the path of paying it back. And they paid every penny back. And I think it took them up until now, like, so whatever years, how many years that was, 12 or 13 years to pay all the investors back in the property thing they were doing back in the day, whereas all his people, probably his business partners, had done the runner, and he said, I'll pay it back," and the wife and they paid it back. But Jason said the advice he gave me was, quit following the darkness. He said, "You're just going after these guys, you're hating." I said, "Why am I keep getting these lawyers letters every time I'm doing this course? It's just every quarter." He said, "Because you're bringing it on yourself, because you're just hating and hating and hating." He said, "Just fucking park it. You can go back to it, park it, and go for the light. If you have a couple of quid left in the bank, go for it. Hire that good, positive new person that can help you get more work. You go and go into overdrive. Change your mindset, go into overdrive, get after new clients, stop wallowing in the past, go for it." And I did do that. And that was a fucking catalyst, completely changed my mindset. Left, part the hate. I'll go back to it again at some stage, I'm sure. But and then and if you're out there, the guys, I'm gonna get you. I know. Uh, but he He just gave me that inspiration to go that way, and a few other people, even with the drinking and the party, and like give me some really good, solid and hard advice. Like, you don't talk to other adults like this. Like, one of the guys, Lindsay,
Yeah.
went up and he goes, "What's the fucking story? You gonna give up the fucking drinking and shit or what?" I'm like, "Whoa, fucking tough." He just said, you're acting the bollocks here, mate." He said, if you want to come out of this, he said, "You're gonna have to fucking cop on." Because he got
Yeah, yeah.
bad place, like I was going through a breakup, massive loss of money, never went through anything like it. Like, it was unbelievable. And these people had just experienced, they went through and they knew it was going to be okay. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Sorry I cut you off. Go on, what were you saying?
yeah, no, you're right. That was it. That was pretty much it. They've been through these sort of things and bigger, and just the experience of just being calm and that you're surrounded by good people was good.
Yeah, brilliant. Again, thank you. And I love all the details because it gets to show, the level that we can play at, and it's the
Mm.
same for all of us. And thanks for sharing that. And if you were to give the value of community a statement, what would you say? Like a value of community. So, yeah, community when you're at times of loss or whatever it is that's going on. What would you say? What statement would you give?
Oh, look, it's massive. Like, my community consists of like probably the same as a lot. I've got a handful of friends that I can rely on in business or personal. I've got my cousin Michael, who I speak to nearly daily. He's in London. Having these people that just take you the way you are, really good friends like involved in my sports team in Sydney. There's a bunch group of girls there I'm involved with. They just understand, and people who having that community of people who understand that like what you're trying to do is that you're in the core of it all. You mightn't get your message across always, but you're a good person. And people who can guide you, like, it's just massive. Like, you just good understanding people. Like, I've like it's not because you have loads of money or you don't have loads of money. Like, you can just be a good person. Like, some of the richest people I know are absolutely sound. They would fucking give you the shirt off their back. They don't give a shit. They're not this perception just because you. I know people are worth fucking. I know some people are worth like, billions of dollars. Like, their families are worth billions, and they will actually go down and have a burger and chips with you, like, and they'll answer your phone. It's not. It's just regular people, and having good people is just. It's just. I think it's the be all and end all. Like, I think there's that statement when you go through the period of which you're with a group. Not that you don't want to be, when you're moving from one group to the group where you need to be, there's a part in the own where you're just like on your own trying to figure out where you are. But like,
Mm-hmm.
having a good community, like even hanging out with you there and getting to know you better over the last 2 weeks has been brilliant, and seeing all the genuine work you're doing as well. It's been great. Like, and yeah, I suppose opening yourself up to being in these being meeting good people is just it's good.
Yeah, it's epic. It's epic. Thank you as well for the love there. So what you're also saying is getting in community where people want to see you win, not just see you win, they want to help you win and get better. Not just in business, but in personal life is imperative to your
Yeah.
success or your growth in life. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's not like surface level, like especially in that community I'm in. It's not like, oh, you need to go to the gym. It's like they can see like people can see deeper into you. It's like there's something bothering you, I can tell it, and that's why you're not going to the gym. Or there's something bothering you. That's why you're not going to the next level in business, because you don't really believe you can. You're not standing up, and that comes from like good friends, is not being like, oh, geez, you're doing
To
great.
tell you straight, yeah.
You just say, like, good friends just say to you, look at Dara, this podcast could be, you could do it way better. Like, it can be more. Like, you can open a
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
You can, and not just fucking watery buttering you up. Like, it'd be like, you know what, Dara, like, if you had, if or whoever, example, Dara, why don't you do a exclusive 25 person that you can help out for 6 months or a year? Like, you can do this, and that'll help you, it'll help them. Like, that's the sort of people you want to be around, and help you, push you on for to be to be able, you heard the people talk, to have that better impact, and like
Hmm.
give
Have
give
bigger impact in the world, yeah.
to buy more goalposts, to go back to Dublin and go to your national school or primary school and do a talk to them, and or help them out, and like from a good place, like not just like, hey, look, I'm back, but
Yeah, yeah.
things, and that make yourself better. You're going to have a positive impact on everyone around, which you do as well. Like, I know a lot of people have been impacted by your work.
Thank you. Thanks again. Quick one, right? Two last questions. You
Yeah,
said that you have set up or you help out a GAA community
yeah,
of women, female or women.
yeah.
You know, tell us that story, the story of the club, real quick.
Yeah.
And then I've got one question.
No worries. Yeah,
Finish.
so I got involved. I got involved in the club in the end of 2018, 2019. There was a guy training it. He was doing it. I like a challenge. He was doing it, and he was sort of just like there's only 5 or 6 girls there, so he was only sort of half doing it, wouldn't turn up, and blamed the girls for not turning up. I'm like, surely you can make a job of this. I was involved in hurling in Ireland in Sligo. A guy came from Limerick, still very loyal. So I have a very good all my family's a big passion for hurling. So I didn't really have the confidence. I was like, fuck it, let's take on this. How can it go wrong? There's 5 girls training, not many. There's not like I can only really make it better. Like if it goes down to fucking 4 and 3, I'm pretty shit. Like, but anyway, so I'll take it on. I'll take it on. And so I took it on the next year. Well, actually, just sort of took it on. I think your man was pissed off. I took it on, but he wasn't going to take it on. You know the usual shit. So I ordered
Yeah.
it. It was funny. It was funny. This is 2000, going into 2019. So I said, I'm going to do the full year. And I had a bit of an ego on me this time. It's only 2 years in business. So I spent €1,000 of my own money and bought Cool Tech Hurleys before Christmas. And or she'll probably be listening. Mags is our treasurer. She was very conservative with the cash. And I was like, so I was like, fuck, and I'm just gonna order these hurls. But I paid for them myself. I never got the money. I never bothered with getting it. I said, order them, load of hurls. I said, I'm going to get so many girls here that I'm gonna fucking need all these hurls. So I ordered them in December and they arrived. Of course, January came and they're like, where's all these people? We don't have any equipment. I said, don't worry. It's a bit like in Braveheart where the king had sent for the ships 8 weeks beforehand. And your man, I
Yeah.
said, I said, they're on the way. They'll be here. They're here next Monday. And she's like, fucking hell, that was quick. I said, I ordered them last December. I headed the game of the fuckers. So I
Yeah.
arrived in and done the first year with the girls. We done the first year and it was a bit of like, fuck it, I'll make them go, we'll win. Let's fucking fly this one in and let's get this one down. Let's get this one, promise this one a job, all that sort of fucking egotistical shit. And done a bit of that. We didn't win. We were good. We didn't win. We got a good job. Got a lot of girls out. But this following year, 2019, the club hadn't won anything in 9 years. I took a step back. I was very fucking intense. Like I took a step back, even though I was involved with a friend. I was still doing everything. I was still doing everything, like writing all the messages, organizing everything, loved it. Um, but I decided I had went through a bad time. I've a bit sometimes I clash with like I've still working on it. Like sometimes I come across wrong, and then like we had some girls on the team. It's like, oh, you can't say this, and like, well, you can't fucking drink wine and win championships. So like we can do a bit of both, but we all come together. Like I'll be very raw and like just say the stuff, or just and it just fucking rub people up the wrong way. And you're a bit intense. Yeah, well, guess what? You need to be fucking intense if you want to win. So I had a bit of like that, but I learned. So I learned that then the following year, I took a step back a bit, still done everything in the background. And I said, I went through a bit of a thing with, I would say something, took out of context. One or two girls didn't like me to come back and it'd be like, Ollie said this, Ollie said that you don't score as many goals. I'm like, I didn't mean it like that. I meant that this one scored goals, but you're better at this. Like, I meant it in a good way, talking about sports, not fucking a personal attack. But anyway, I said, fuck it, you're driving me crazy. So I took a bit of a step back. And the second year, we had massive success. So in the January, I said, you know what? I'm going to give up fucking alcohol. I'm not getting any stupid conversations with people who have just bad intentions to fucking drag me down. I don't mean to do anything wrong. I just have a big mouth and talk shit. Sometimes that's not bad, but I believe it's just been telling the truth. So I took this step back, didn't drink from January until the day that we won the fucking final, the 17th of April. I said, I will fucking get these bitches over the line, kicking and screaming, even if they don't want to win. I am going to make sure they win this fucking league. So we ended up getting the JP who was it. We ended up getting a number for a sports psychologist, and the sports psychologist came in just the last training session just before the final in 2019, and he came in. Grant Birch. He works with the Sydney Swans and the Roosters and all that, and he just done a talk. And I paid him. I said, John, if they win, I'll be the big dick. I'll be buying drink all night and doing all this bullshit. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get this content. I'm going to win this final, and I'm not going to buy them anything. This fella came in and he talked about camaraderie, and they would have some of them would have never experienced like sports psychology or any psychology at all, and camaraderie and doing the simple things. We went into done a training session. We went into the final. Anyways. Then we're playing against a champion team, Kilkenny players that are used to winning that can come back. We were up by 13 points at halftime or something. We were winning well. Second half came, last few minutes of the game. We're down, there was only 1 point. We're up by 1 point. And the ball came, there was a free taken in, and Mags, actually, the woman who with the finance who wouldn't give it the money, she done, I could see it, people not everyone would see it. I was on the line on like, she's doing the simple. She came out with the ball, pucked it out, and we won the fucking league. First time in 9 years. Unbelievable. But that was just like a really good achievement. But I'll be quick, but there's another little twist to this. We won at that time, ended up being sort of ostracized out of it then. Like, I was a chairman and there was someone involved and I tried to get it going again, and just fucking toxic shit going on. Oh, they don't have a club and COVID and all these excuses. I said, well, we fucking got 13 girls, so we're playing camogie. I was the chairman and I got accused of being too aggressive. I'm like, right, I just want to fucking GAs to make sure if we just give up on games and stuff because stuff is happening, the whole community falls. So that was like, I wasn't involved with the team then for 2 years. It folded. I was actually in Bali. I tell the story that I went to see a priest in Bali when I was in Bali 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, and I seen this fella called Ali Buddha. He was up in the fucking Ubud somewhere. And I just recharged. I really recharged. Seconds. Really recharged. And I came and what? Oh, sorry, someone just landed. I came and I said, told everyone that this guy in the mountain told me you need to bring the camogie back. So I went back to my fucking hotel room and texted a few of the leaders like Maria Walsh, and a few of them texted them. I said, hey, I'm thinking about getting a team. And some of them text back and some of them probably still don't talk to me. But most of them said, nah, not interested. Next thing they came back and we had a meeting. We said, we get a 5-a-side team going. I'll wrap it up quick. And we got a 5-a-side team going. We barely had a team going. And by the end of the year, we ended up winning the league and the championship. And we won it. I brought a girl down from Brisbane and we won the league. We hammered them. We shouldn't have won it. We hammered the team in the league final. And now in the championship, Maria, actually, our captain, flew back from Ireland a day early to be there. A girl we couldn't get girls, and sometimes at Randwick to train. We had a girl who played with us in 2019. She was flying down for training from Brisbane. I had points, and it wasn't the reason to win. Why I had her come down was because she hadn't sport. She was a lovely girl, Finola, and she hadn't played sports since 2019, only small 5-a-sides in Brisbane because GS and thing. It's big up there. And she came down, and next thing was we went into the championship final, and Maria came home the day early, won't play. She was the captain, she was so happy. And then Finola came down, who played with Maria, who last game they might ever play together because time is short. And Finola went and scored the winning point in extra time, and we won the league and championship. So we went from having no team to win the league and championship. From that intention of just doing a good thing,
Yeah, that's epic. Well done. I've seen some of the videos of that, so it looked epic. It looks like the girls had a bit of fun after the game. Great celebrations. Yeah, great celebrations. Ollie, thank you very much for your time today. It's been epic chatting. Again, it's the funniest one I've had so far, I reckon. Well, there's been lots of funny moments, not a full funny conversation. But final question, what does success mean to you?
Oh, success. I had an interview back in 2017. I went for an Irish entrepreneur thing, and I look back and I achieved everything I said I was going to achieve, and that pretty much. But success meant to me that time is having a good impact on people around you, helping them be successful, creating a bit of a legacy, someone that like has created an impact, being a good community person, being good to your family, not forgetting where you came from, and yeah, just that's pretty much it. It's being someone you can be relied on to pick up the phone, and that you'll answer the phone. You'll be there for them. You'll be there for people. And success is just being a really good person that can create impact, good impact.
Thank you. Legend. Thank you for your time, Ollie.
All right.
Looking forward to this one getting released. All right, bud.
I
enjoy your day.